Hello everyone, today I'll be eating chips and guac. Nothing special about it. Just just some guacamole and some chips. Now, you might be wondering, where's all the food review stuff? and and I'm sorry, but I got sick, so I couldn't do it. So, you get this video instead. All right? It's a video of me eating chips and guacamole. Really nothing special about it. Or is there? No, there isn't. But what if I did? Nah, just kidding. Unless. Anyway, what I wanted to talk to you about today, while I'm eating chips and guacamole, is not really something that's been going around the world recently, like the coronavirus. And for your information, no, I am not sick with the coronavirus. Rather, I wanted to discuss a different issue today. Not relevant to the coronavirus, not relevant to something even that's happening on campus. No. What I want to talk about today is like I'm sorry, I'm just at a loss for words. I don't know honestly how I would phrase this because it's an interesting subject to be sure. It's like I don't know. I guess I'll just try and word this the best way that I can. What I want to talk to you about today is the future and some things that will happen in the future, not even relevant to the channel, but just about the future. Like why why is it in our minds so much? You know, like from a young age, we as kids were I know, especially I don't know about you guys, but I was often asked the question, what do you want to be when you grow up? And this is a question that back then we might have been like, oh, I want to do this, or I want to do something that's interesting, or I want to be a tree, whatever, right? um but then as we get older, we become more stressed about being a tree, and then we're not so sure if we want to be a tree anymore. After that, we're going into college, and then we have to decide on a major. um and some people are undecided about their major. They like don't know what they want to do, but then once you go into that, you're kind of stuck with it, aren't you? It's hard to really go out of that path once you choose it. And it's something that's been plaguing my mind for a long time. Is we just, as society, we spend so much time placing emphasis on the future to our to the kids of society, that when they actually get to this quote unquote future, they don't know how to think about the present. They only know how to think about the future. So, like, when they're in elementary school, they'll think of middle school. When they're in middle school, they'll think of high school. When in high school, they'll think of probably more of later high school or of college. And then when they're in college, they'll think of later college life maybe, or their major if they haven't decided that. And then they'll go into thinking about grad school maybe, like med school, grad school, law school, nursing school, whatever kind of graduate training you want. And then after that, it's thinking about jobs. And then after that, it's thinking about how you get a raise, how you get a promotion, etc. And then after that, we're always thinking about retirement. And then after that, we're thinking about what we do when we pass on, and then we actually die. But then besides that, there's another separate track where people think about family, like people thinking, oh, when I get if I get a girlfriend, or when I get a girlfriend, I want her to be like this. And then once you get so you're thinking about a girlfriend, or if you're a girl, you're thinking about a boyfriend, or regardless of what gender you are, you're thinking about someone. If In today's society, I can't assume who's attracted to who, but you're usually thinking about a significant other, having a significant other, and then after that, you want to take that relationship further from dating and go in talk about marriage, and then after marriage, you talk about starting a family, and then how you raise the kids, and so on and so forth. That's actually becoming less common nowadays as birth rates in the US are declining. We're starting to approach a carrying capacity, not only in the US, but throughout the world as well. Birth rates are just declining in general, and basically, people aren't having kids as the way that they used to. And this is a phenomenon that we observe in a bunch of different populations. Like, all habitats have a carrying capacity. We're not Humanity's probably not, or actually we have lots of evidence to show that humanity is likely not going to grow exponentially. Uh, Basically, where I was going with this was the fact that we tend to think about the future a lot. For example, like I have this chip, I'm gonna dip it in some guacamole, and and if this were my first time eating the guac, which it's not, I would probably be thinking like, okay, what will the guacamole taste like? How will I feel about it? And then I eat it, and then it's like, okay, that wasn't so bad. And then I think about having some more. The amount of time I actually spend enjoying the taste of the guac is very little, because I'm usually thinking about what I'm gonna do next with the guacamole, right? And the problem with me is that when you think about the future too much, it starts to become almost like, I don't know, an idol maybe, because it's one of the number one things on your mind. We usually tend to think of idols as like physical things, or other people maybe, but I think that with our common perception of the future as something you have to think about, it's like an idol society has forced onto us, and then we don't have a choice but to accept that view, that we have to think about the future at all times. And then, because we're thinking about the future so much, we don't have any time left to enjoy the present, and what God has given us, and in the present time, all of the blessings He's given us. He's given us plenty. Like, I know that a lot of my audience is from Wheaton College. It's an incredible blessing to be here. It's one of the top Christian colleges, top liberal arts colleges in the nation, and sometimes don't we just take that for granted. And yeah, and people are shouting outside of my room right now, but yeah, I'm just gonna try and ignore that, because I want to focus more on the blessings that have been given to me instead. Like, I have a roommate who's an incredible friend of mine. I have several other incredible friends here. I have another friend who is in the Navy, and they've all provided comfort to me when I most desperately needed it. They've all been great companions, and I could not and I could not imagine a life without having them. Uh, Basically, it's become hard to focus on the present because we look to the future so much. So maybe we could just look to the future less and start looking more to the present.